At the beginning of the film, we see a car that stops at a petrol station. A man gets out of it, he goes inside and asks the mechanic to fix his car. The mechanic replies that the garage is closed today and no cars will be repaired. The man insists, saying, "Please fix it. My dad is very ill and I need to get there urgently." The mechanic seemed greedy and asked the stranger if he would pay in cash. Upon receiving an affirmative answer, he started fixing the car. After repairing a minor fault, he demanded $200. Instead of paying, the stranger started laughing. The stranger said, "I wanted you to be greedy, so I have something funny for you." He took out a gun and shot him there, leaving the body behind. Moments later, the stranger goes to a man named Slim, who runs a bar. Here, we learn the truth that the mechanic whom the stranger had just killed was given the task by Slim himself because that man hadn't returned Slim's money for quite some time. At this time, the lock on Slim's bar was being repaired because someone had tried to steal something from outside the previous night. What was stolen will be revealed at the end of the movie. Now, we see a girl named Mary working in the bar whose boyfriend was supposed to propose to her today. She had even baked a cake for him. It was a very special day for her, therefore she decides to leave early. Mary goes to her boss to ask for leave and there was a stranger sitting there. Mary didn't hear their conversation but she left for now. The stranger also leaves with drugs and money, and upon reaching home, Mary listens to a voice message from her boyfriend Travis. He tells her, "My mobile battery is about to die and I'm on my way. I'll reach soon." I put my phone on charge and got busy with the preparations. She decorated the house a bit, changed clothes, and during all this, we noticed that she had a gun in her house. Suddenly, she heard a faint sound at her door as if someone was coming inside. Panicking, when she went downstairs, she saw the door was swaying in the wind and there was no one there. The scene cut. Now we see the stranger on the road, driving his car, when he suddenly remembered he also had drugs. He was in the car. He decided to take drugs while sitting, which distracted him from the road ahead. He was still driving when suddenly someone came in front of the car, resulting in an accident. The stranger tried to balance his car, but it spun and crashed. Due to the impact, the stranger was injured. However, he bravely got out and looked at the person who had been hit by his car. He saw that the person's condition was very severe, with his face badly disfigured. The person was unrecognizable and blood was flowing like water. The stranger looked around and saw a light coming from both sides, indicating someone lived there. The stranger decided to flee from the scene. First, he tried to start his own car, but when it wouldn't start, he attempted to use the girl's car. When the boy's car wouldn't start either, he took the keys from the boy's car, placed them in the boy's pocket, and dragged the body to the side of the road into the woods. He was actually trying to hide the body. The scene cuts and we see her at home again. She was preparing at home, suddenly. He assumed that someone was persistently knocking on his door and speculated that it might be due to traffic, but he never knocked in such a frenzied manner. Within a brief moment, he realized it wasn't an outsider, but rather someone familiar. Initially, the door remained closed, but whoever it was managed to enter through the rear entrance, and it turned out to be an unfamiliar individual. The moving light he had observed from a distance originated from Marilyn's residence, and now he had arrived at Marilyn's house. What was his intention? He restrained Marilyn's hands and feet and obscured his face while here. Outside, we see the police near his boss's firm. The police had come to investigate his friend Makhane's murder, but Slim clearly denied that he had committed the murder. He said, "I was at my bar all day. You can check if you like." For the time being, they were satisfied, but the police mentioned that the murderer had left his gun there. Hearing this, it seemed a bit strange to him that the stranger would leave his gun there. Instead of erasing evidence, he left it right there. Anyway, at Marling's house, Marling's friend had come to deliver a cake which she had left at the bar. She knocked on the door repeatedly, but when no one answered, she left the cake outside and the stranger observed her from above. As soon as the girl left, he relaxed comfortably. He then started drinking milk. After this, he was looking at Marlin with peculiar eyes. What about getting close to Marlin? He removed the cloth from Marling's mouth and then her skirt. He covered her with it. It seemed like he had bad intentions, but this stranger was not like that at all. Now, he started checking one of Marilyn's things, and from the picture present there, B and the stranger realized that the person he had just hit with his car was none other than Marilyn's boyfriend. The stranger had come here to seek help. He had received a call from Marilyn's house, which made him emotional, but Marilyn's car was with her boyfriend. They only had one car and a single broken down bike. Upon asking Marlin about the keys, he retains the traffic key with him. Indeed, it is the identical key that the stranger had placed in his pocket and subsequently dropped in the forest. The stranger realized that he would need to return to the forest to retrieve it. Consequently, he embarked on his journey to the forest. Meanwhile, Dee was shown outside Marlene's residence, where it was time for the final girl employed there to make her way home, who happened to be Marlene's colleague. When she went to her employer's office to inform him that she was departing for the day, the employer seized her and began to act inappropriately because she too had borrowed money from the employer, specifically Sam. Slim used to regard the individuals to whom he lent money as his personal property. The initial girl somehow succeeded in escaping from that place, and Slim contemplated inspecting his firearm. He possessed his grandfather's gun, which he consistently kept securely in a box. The moment he opened the box, his mind started to race because the firearm was no longer present. In his panic, blood even began to trickle from his nose. He comprehended the entire situation. There had been a burglary the previous day. The culprits were not adolescents, nor had they preferred something mundane. The burglar, the one who had stolen Slim's gun, used that very gun to murder Slim's man and had left the chaos there so that if an investigation took place, Slim would also be implicated. Slim's mind was in turmoil, caught up in his own case. This situation was doubly troubling for him. Gogol had crossed over. He had taken the substantial amount of money as well, quite a significant sum, and had framed Slim for the murder. Now it is revealed that the stranger has arrived at the jungle. In the jungle, he is searching for Travik's body so that he can pay his fee and at least utilize his bike to escape from there. However, upon reaching the jungle, he observed that Travik, the young boy, was still alive and was attempting to crawl back to his home. When the stranger approached him, he became terrified. He had lost a considerable amount of blood and he was extremely weak. As soon as he coughed, blood splattered, and the stranger became consumed with uncontrollable rage. Although Travik was not to blame, the stranger resolved to penalize him for this unintentional error and brutally beat him to death. Ultimately, Travik was deceased. After ending his life, he searched through his pockets and discovered the ring that Travik had purchased for Marlene with the intention of proposing to her that very day. The stranger retained the ring for himself and also seized the keys. Following this, he aimed to permanently eliminate the body, intending to bury it, and when this task, just then, Slim passed by and saw the stranger's crashed car on the road and a lot of blood on the road. He realized that something had happened to the stranger, and if that were the case, the stranger would be nearby. He only wanted to take revenge for this. He looked into the distance and saw a glimpse of Marlene, so he headed towards her house. Now, with the car broken down, he was also keeping an eye on Travis's. As soon as he got home, he quickly opened the mail and gave Marlene the shocking news that the driver's car had been in an accident on the road. There was traffic and there was a lot of blood on the road, indicating something had happened. Marlene was beginning to understand, but she didn't want to believe it. Now, he asked the woman, "Where is the stranger?" and it is shown from behind that the stranger has also come inside with an axe. The stranger didn't wait for a second. He allowed it to occur and with a single, decisive stroke, drove the axe into Slim's neck, ending his life. Marlene was utterly terrified, witnessing the entire scene unfold. Slim's blood splattered across her face. She attempted to save herself by fleeing upstairs, but the axe came perilously close to her head. Fortunately, she managed to avoid it by ducking down, and the axe became lodged in the door. While the stranger was occupied with retrieving his axe, Marlene ran upstairs. The stranger was advancing upstairs with the intention of killing Marlene. As soon as he reached the top, Marlene had a weapon prepared. They had already seen it. The door was firmly shut. As the stranger began to turn the doorknob, Marlene tightened her trigger. The sound of the trigger had been heard many times, so he stepped back. He realized he couldn't approach Marlene like that. Marlene had a weapon in her hand, which she could use to kill him. So, he retreated from the door. He was plotting something in his mind. He went downstairs and turned the doorknob in such a way that it seemed to Marlene as if he had left the house, but he was still inside. He came back up the stairs, waiting for Marlene with his axe. When Marlene realized this little, thinking he had left the house, she stepped out of the room, and with the first strike, the stranger broke her nose. The weapon she was holding fell far away. She was taken aback by the attack and wasn't prepared for it. As he was getting ready to strike again, I appeared with a gun. He shot him. He knew that in just a short while he would die. Before that, he thought of taking drugs one last time, took out a packet of drugs from his pocket and tried to open it. Before he could use the drugs, Berlin shot him again, finishing him off. Before dying, he fell and took out a ring from his pocket and threw it in front of Million. Berlin quickly picked up the ring. Pravish had shown her this picture. She broke down in tears. All this happened on the day of the engagement, watching him. But the stranger died laughing. In front of the stranger lay the drugs he couldn't take, and in Marlene's hand was the ring whose future she couldn't secure, and with this the story came to an end.